Welcome back to the Empowered Woman Podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to start believing in yourself, giving yourself permission to succeed, and let your voice be heard to make an impact in the world as an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Emma. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Marta. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited too. And I actually don't think I've ever interviewed anyone with your beautiful accent. So this will be extremely fun for me. I love it. Well, let me, first things first, housekeeping. I always like to remind our listeners to reach out after listening to this episode and let us know what was, their light bulb moment, their aha. It's always great to hear, especially as podcasters, what you're resonating with, and what was special for you, so that we can keep creating content like that. And it means the world to us, especially as Emma is also a podcaster. So, fun fact: I connected with Emma through another fellow woman entrepreneur, and she was right to connect us because we have so much in common, and we've really gotten along really well. I was interviewed on her podcast. We got to meet in person because she's local here to Colorado in a speaking engagement that I had not too long ago. And what I love so much about your story, obviously not to give so much away, is that it's a very specific background that has led you into life coaching. And we're going to get into it. So welcome. Tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Thanks so much. My name's Emma Doyle. I'm originally from Melbourne, Australia. As you said, now living here in Denver, Colorado. And I'm an energy coach and activation speaker. So I help people with their energy management, and being able to perform under pressure in the workplace. After spending many, many years as a high-performance tennis coach, coached on the tour, and played college tennis at Middle Tennessee State University, nice. Which was a bit of a culture shock. And, take the principles of high-performance sport into the workplace. And I'm very passionate about coaching coaches how to coach. The leader as coach is the way of the future. I passionately believe that. And I'm always been super deeply curious about what makes a great coach, which, of course, is the title of my book. I'm so excited about. So you know what that feeling is like as a fellow author and TEDx speaker. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the book. But first, let's start from the beginnings of sorts. Because whenever I meet somebody that loves tennis, I instantly think back, and I'm going to have to send this episode to my friend. I think back to my childhood friend. Her name's Carol. And we became friends when we were in 4th grade. So at 10 years old, we went through college and weddings and all of the things. And even though she's in Brazil now, we still are pretty close and we still talk. And fun fact, she actually pioneered moving to the US, which had always been my dream as, a young person. But knowing my mom, I knew I could only leave if I got married, which is what I did. But she got to do her undergrad in UNF, University of North Florida, with a tennis scholarship. So some similarities there. And before we started recording, I was telling you how I always tell my friend how she's had such a positive influence in me growing up by seeing her dedication to the sport and to her personal growth. And how, for me, growing up, not having, so my parents' focus was always in academia. It was not in sports, because that was not what their focus was growing up either. But I always admired that. I resented it at times because it's like, come on, take some days off. But now I see how that has helped her advance so much in her life and in her career. So I'd love to hear your story, how it all got started, and obviously how it's made such an impact in you that you're still talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So way back when, interestingly, my family's very different. I'm number 3 of 4, and my parents were from England, so they immigrated out to Australia. And so I, from a very young age, could basically play all sports. So that was my thing. I mean, if there was a bat and a ball, I could do it, but I was the master of none. So, jack of all trades type scenario. I can kick a football, I could hit a bat and a ball. And it wasn't really in the 80s way back when, girls, for example, weren't allowed to play Australian football, which was actually my sport of choice.
Oh, wow.
And I'm probably better at it than now. Now there's a whole women's league, which is super interesting. But that sort of honed me a little bit more into tennis. And I was never a top junior. So one of the good things that happened to me is that I continued to play lots of different sports, which I think is so important for parents listening out there. And so what it allowed me to do is, yes, tennis became my specific sport, but I got better as I got taller, stronger, fitter, older, when sometimes a lot of people that have success younger, then they tend to drop out because they can be burnt out by the sport. I sort of fell more deeply in love with the sport as I got older, and because I grew into my body, so to speak, because you never know when that's going to happen. Right. I actually played better and better as I got older, when a lot of the people who were smashing me in the under 12s, they were dropping out of tennis. And so tennis always allowed me to be cool at school. I wouldn't say I was super cool, but it allowed me to be friends with a lot of different groups. And I didn't have to, she's the tennis player. So I didn't have to go down the rabbit hole of some of the, I had a good excuse if I didn't want to get involved in some of the social escapades of what my friends were doing at the time. So I think sport helps you stay on a path, because it allows you to maximize your potential. And to do that, like you said, like your friend Carol had to maybe say no to a party or two. So I can really resonate with that. But I've been coaching since I was 14.
Wow.
So coaching was something that really was introduced to me very, very early. And what happened for me is I walked off the court and was like, oh my God, this is the greatest job in the world. Like, how do I become a coach? And what makes a great coach? There it is again. And so I went on this journey of really wanting to be a coach first and foremost, rather than a top player, because also I didn't have that early success of thinking I was going to be world number one, because I wasn't even number one in my state, let alone the country. So, and then I had this, my aha epiphany moment was when I was in my first year of college studying sports coaching in Melbourne, and I was pulled into the office of this very famous Australian football coach. He was our course coordinator, and he said, Emma, do you want to be the best coach that you can be? And I was like, yes, like, what am I going to do? And he said, well, have you maximized your playing potential first? He said, for me to be the best coach, I needed to maximize my playing first. And that's why I went to college in America. So I love that reflection question. It's a great question for all of us to ask. Just, is something in the way from stopping me living my potential? And if there is, what's within your control so that you can do something about it, so that you can be empowered and maximize all of your abilities? And I'm really grateful for that moment, because that really set me on a journey of putting myself under more pressure, experiencing playing for a team, which I thrived in that environment, tennis being such an individual sport in Australia. And all of a sudden now I had 6 other humans that I would do anything for. And, one of which I went to visit her in Canada a couple of months ago, right? All these years later. So I'm very, very grateful to the sport of tennis for everything that it's taught me now, especially as I'm in corporate speaking and empowering others and helping them take action. It's a beautiful training ground for where your character is exposed, and how do you problem solve, and how do you make great decisions to be able to bring out the best in yourself and in others. So,
that's wonderful. I love that. And the reflection too of what is standing in your way, and that's usually the journey, right? We have this big overarching goal and we want it tomorrow, or we want it yesterday, right? But there's so many other things that still need to be worked on. And that's why it takes a little bit longer than we envision at times. But once we understand that that's part of the journey, we can be more appreciative and actually enjoy it as understanding this is a stepping stone. I am getting closer, even if it doesn't look like it at times. It's part of it. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more the transition from becoming a tennis coach, a sports coach, because before, I don't know when it was, a few decades ago, when you would say coach, this is what people would most likely, or maybe in some countries and in some circles, it still is. When you say coach, you're like, okay, which sport? But now with the rise of personal development, right, there's been such a huge focus on that. And I think especially in the entrepreneurial world, personal development, personal growth is just something so touched on and so emphasized. How was that transition for you? And then I would love for you to talk about a little bit of the differences, because obviously they're not the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So interestingly, it was I hit a point in my career where I was working with the best of the best players. I represented my country of Australia 20 times as a coach. So my career's going really well. And I was like, why can I bring out the best in these players, but not these players? And how do I deal with that parent? I like, and so what happens, I became burnt out. I was like, I'm so burnt out but I didn't realize that I didn't have enough tools in my coaching toolkit to relate to different people. So I got out of tennis. I thought I'm having a career change. I'm done. So I went and studied everything to do with business coaching, life coaching. The company, ironically, that I work for now is an Australian company called Open Door Coaching. So I now teach their methodology in America. Ironically, was the course that I took back in 2006. And so the more I began to study these things, the more I was like, I have to go back into sport, because I knew a lot about how to hit a forehand, but I didn't realize, I have to change who I am to bring out the best in the person in front of me. Wow. And so that epiphany, that aha moment for me was when I had to give a coaching session and I wasn't allowed to give one directive command. I had to ask all questions. I wasn't allowed to give one piece of advice. And I was what? I was like, but I'm a coach. Like, I know the technical angle on the serve, and don't I need to share that with the world? And then I realized that when you ask great questions and when you ask future-based questions and when you believe wholeheartedly in the person in front of you, like with all your energy, that the answers live within them and you can unlock their potential, was the moment then I really stepped into my coaching greatness, whether I'm on a sports field, whether I'm coaching today or whether I'm coaching off the court in the workplace, which I still love to do both. And the core concept that maybe some people might not know on your podcast is one of the godfathers of business coaching, Sir John Whitmore from the United Kingdom, who's no longer with us. But his early foundation was in tennis coaching. And he used some of the concepts from the book called The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. He used the concept from that book to summarize the definition of business coaching. And two things from that book were really critical. The first one was that the opponent within one's head is more formidable than the one down the other side of the court. And number two, if a coach can help a player remove or reduce internal obstacles to their performance, an unexpected natural ability will flow forth. It is helping them learn rather than teaching them. And that's the difference. So a sports coach, and in the tennis world, they're often called teaching pros, right? And a business coach being helping somebody learn rather than teaching them by asking great questions and providing an environment. Now, personally myself, when I'm now on a sports coach, ever since 2006, I coach the way I do off court is how I coach on court. I'm asking questions. I'm helping them problem solve. I'm setting up activities for them to discover the answers, because then the information sticks. When they go, if I lift my elbow up higher, or I feel that stretch on my trapezius, then I'm going to experience. I'm going to hit the ball deeper. That's how you do it. Even though I've been saying I love it when coaches, I've been telling you for the last 5 weeks, just hit it deeper, deeper, deeper. Now you're finally listening to me. I mean, that's the biggest difference there. And I'm on a global mission. It's why I run my podcast, Coach for Success in Sport and Business. It's helping sports coaches understand business coaching, and it's helping business coaches learn from sports coaches, because sports coaches are passionate. Yeah. And maybe if that's, if I could even just mention my book, would be a good time now to do that, because it's based on the research of over 500 coaches. Now, 328 were tennis coaches, 105 business coaches, and 71 sports coaches of different sports, right? So these passion is number one across all the coaches. Yeah. So business coaches need that passion as well. They need to bring that belief in their student, which is practice number 2. And then the sports coach needs to listen, which is, practice 3, and the third highest response of what makes a great coach. So I just love the crossovers, and of course we call them practices. It's an evolution, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't just go listening, done that, tick.
Right.
Got that skill. Especially you and I as doers. It's something we have. It's a daily practice.
It is. It really is. Well, and thanks for bringing that up, because I usually have my guests talk about their results of the quiz, and we've been talking about this on your podcast, which, by the way, everyone needs to go listen to Emma's amazing podcast, and I'll be sure to put the link in here. We were talking about the personality types, and you're also a doer, so we definitely understand each other with all of the goals and all the things that we want to accomplish. But what got me thinking, and then I would love for you to outline more of the practices of your book, so we're talking about, your background, the commonalities and the differences in terms of a sports coach and a business coach, life coach. And then I'm thinking there are many coaches who are going to be listening to us right now. There are maybe in the beginnings of their business, or they are feeling a little bit like imposters, as it often hits us. And it's like, I don't know how to deal with this client, and I don't know how to support this person, and I don't even know if I have value to give. And since the name of your book is What Makes a Great Coach, I feel like it would be very, very important and helpful for us to walk through those steps to help these coaches understand that they are already amazing coaches, but what are some of the things that they could start implementing to really, and I love what you said, change their approach and the way that they are, so that they can bring out the best in their client, because it's all, it's a dance, right? So you got to learn to dance with your client, and that's what makes you a great coach. One of the things. So one of the things that I did to the research as well, I put all the qualities, because the question is, in 1 to a maximum of 3 words, what makes a great coach? Which, by the way, Marta on my podcast, she said boundaries, listener, and self-awareness. So I'm throwing that one in there as well. So everyone will have to go and check out that episode. But I split them into 4 quadrants: relationships, emotional, technical, and cognitive. Right. So I've got all the qualities from over 500. So 500 multiplied by 3, right? And put them into those 4 boxes. And the reason I'm sharing that is because the majority of the qualities sat under the emotional piece. So I think taking your concept of what makes a great coach, self-awareness, and understanding your emotions, your emotional intelligence, setting your emotions first for a session, parking your stuff, for example, leaving your ego aside, and just connecting with the emotion of yourself and what's going on for the person would be a great starting point for a beginning coach. And then the relationship piece was the next highest quality. So the dance between the person you're coaching and you, to be able to build rapport, build trust, all those wonderful things. So that, I think that's interesting to share. I don't think I've shared that with anyone about. That was something I was playing around with that I think is really, really important. And so how does that relate to the top 10 practices, especially if I think about a beginning coach? Well, practice number 1 is decision-making. So how do we empower others to make decisions that are actually going to help them take a step forward in their life, whatever that is for them? And I think that is empowering decision-making, especially in the heat of the battle. So if you're doing a sales pitch, or you've got to, you're doing a discovery call, that's the heat of the battle. Like on the tennis court, when you're in the moment, you have to be able to execute under pressure. So if we haven't instilled decision-making in our clients and in ourselves, then I think that's something that, that's why it's practice 1. And then practice 2 is belief, having belief in yourself, connecting with your strengths, or getting 5 of your biggest cheerleaders to tell you what your strengths are, so that then you can empower others and believe in what you can offer and what you can bring to the table. I'm sure you probably reframe USP these days, unique selling proposition, and I'm sure you've got a different lens cap on it. But it is important to know what we're good at. It's why I call myself an energy coach. I mean, that's it's my gift that I want to, that I can share with the world, because I understand how to
to top up my energy. And I think life is an energetic dance with everyone we meet. So that's an example of 2 practices out of 10 that just I was thinking for a good starting point for a beginning coach.
That's great. And I love it. And then if you want to hear all of the remaining 8, you're going to have to go read the book. Tell us more about the book. So you already shared that is a compilation of all these amazing top coaches. So it's not just your personal opinion. It's the great coaches out there, such as yourself, talking about what this practice is and how you can support first yourself. Let's be honest here, because it starts with us. And then you can start doing that same work as you are able to do it with other people. Tell us more. I know you're releasing it pretty soon. I'm hoping to release this episode when the book's already out. So hopefully I'll have a link for everybody, but tell us more.
Great. So, I mean, I'm super excited. Thursday, the 8th of September at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is the official launch time. So that's actually this week of this recording. So excited about that. And I've also created, of course, you'll be happy to know, an online course that actually has practical coaching tools. Nice. So if there's any teams out there listening, anyone who buys 10 copies or more, then we have you will get access to the coaching toolkit. There's actually 20 tools that line up with the top 10 practices of what makes a great coach. So providing you with actual tools that you can help coach people in the workplace. Actually, you could coach anyone. It could be your kids. It could be not just the workplace, and great for sports coaches in managing teams as well. Whatmakesagreatcoach.com is the landing page. And I'm super excited to share this with the world. It's been 6 years. Wow. I've been collating the data from my podcast in 1 to a maximum of 3 words, What Makes a Great Coach, taking that data and putting it into something synthesized. And there's some pretty incredible coaches. I mean, Roger Federer answered the question. So did Judy Murray, the mother of Andy Murray and Jamie Murray. Serena Williams' coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, he's in the book. He's answered the question, given me a little testimonial on the back of the book, which is super awesome. And then some great business coaches like Jack Groppel, Claude Silver from VaynerMedia. She's in the book, stories from their experience. But, you know, there's one thing that I'll also say that everyone goes and talks a lot about in the book is this concept of listening and being really present. Whether I'm being present when I have to hit a tennis ball or whether I'm being present in whatever you're doing right now, listening to this podcast, just taking a moment to really connect with anything that's, as Marta said, what's resonating with you, because that's what's most important for both Marta and I. She's about the empowered woman and I'm about the energy coach. What's happening to your energy as you're listening to this to get inspired to take action in the direction of your goals and your dreams. So some pretty cool people in the book that I'm just
that's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so excited to check it out myself. Well, before you tell us how to find you and all that good stuff, I would love to do my little rapid fire questions. Now it's my turn because you caught me off guard quite a few times on your show. So now it's my turn.
I'm ready. I'm ready with energy, empathy, and enjoyment.
There you go. I love it. All right. So we're going to walk you through. I'm going to do the 5 steps and you can answer with a word, or if you want to expand, feel free. Do whatever comes to mind. All right. So the first one is notice yourself.
Daily.
The next one is listen to yourself.
Trust your gut.
Forgive yourself.
Quickly.
Please.
And compassionately.
Yes. And the next one is empower yourself.
By focusing on your strengths.
And last but not least, transform yourself.
Continuously. I met a Scottish Buddhist monk once, Caroline McHugh. She's got a great book. I think it's called The Art of Being Yourself. And she talks about our only quest in life is to continuously form and transform and form and transform yourself every year. And she asks people to choose one word. And the question she says is, if, let's say it's 2022 right now, if 2022 was the richest year of your life, not just with money, but rich in success and happiness and everything else, what word would you choose to help govern your thoughts, your feelings, actions, decisions, and behaviors? And I've been doing this every year now for ever since I met this woman. And I love how that word acts as a bit of a rudder just to help me stay online.
Yeah.
So my word for this year is connection. And not just like, it's like meeting you. It's Lauren Frison put us in contact, said, hey, you should reach out to Mata. I'm connecting with you.
Yeah.
I'm connecting with anyone that's going to gravitate towards my journey and be inspired by my mission. And I just thought that would be really useful to share with people as it relates to transform.
Definitely. I love that. That's so powerful. Well, Emma, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, all your insight. I'm so excited for your book and all the amazing work that you're doing out there. Tell us how to find you. So you already shared the link for the book. How else can we connect with you?
Yeah, so my name, Emma Doyle, EMMADOYLE.com.au. Remember, AU stands for Australia, and my mum always says, remember to come home every once in a while. So that's where you can find me, and yeah, send me an email. You all my links and everything will be there, emmadoyle.com.au.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you, everybody, and remember, what makes a great coach? We'd love to hear from you. What do you think, in 1 to a maximum of 3 words? What makes a great coach? Bye, Mata.
Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to connect with Emma. All the links are in the show notes. Until next time, bye.